This is a trick to salvage a EGT probe after you've removed it and damaged the nut that holds the EGT sensor inside of the bung. I was really careful. I heated this nut up, I soaked it in penetrating oil, but still the threads galled when I was taking it out and essentially rendered this sensor useless. The sensor itself was just fine. This nut was screwed up. So I couldn't find this sensor readily available. However, I discovered that the threads on this are M14 by 1.5. That's the same as this bubble flare nut right here for a brake line or a fuel line. And my local auto parts stores, several of them, stock this nut right here. So it is a little bit shorter, but I've tested it and it works just fine. So essentially what we're going to do is remove this nut off of here and put this nut on here. Now you could cut the connector. However, I wanted to figure out how to depin it. This is a little more complicated than the standard Audi VW connectors. Did figure it out without breaking it, so I'm going to show you guys how I did it. So when the connector is assembled, this purple retaining clip is in there. It actually sits at the top of the connector like this. What you do is you get a pry tool and essentially pop this connector down like this, and then use pliers, use long needle nose to pull this retaining clip out. I use these ones right here. So basically this sits in here, you pop it down, slide it out. Now what you're left with is just the two pins in there. I know it's a little hard to see, but there's little tiny holes on top of and below each pin. That's for these little tangs right here and right here. So on each pin you simultaneously have to pry above and below it. The problem is the holes are oriented sideways, so a standard single pin removal tool, at least the ones that I have, wouldn't work. So I had to use two of them at the same time. Basically I just slid these in here like this, inside of those holes, one on top and one on bottom, and that allowed me to pull the pins out. Now with the pins out, I can slide this this new nut on here, and voila! I have saved myself the purchase price of a new EGT sensor. See if we can get these to reseat in there. There we go, I heard a click. And they're not pulling out. All right. There we go. So that's back in place now. It just needs to be pried upward. There we go. We now have a repaired EGT probe for the cost of this nut right here, which was about $3.